sazon, their sabor, in every college sport. For my Latinos that are now a new fan base growing here in Tennessee, can you explain what college game day is and what sazon, what flavor you guys bring to the city?
I'd say energy. It feels like there's a boost as soon as you get to town and people are gathered. I think the set here creates its own buzz, and as you see the foot traffic, I was impressed with how many people were walking to class on a Friday, knowing that we got a big game tomorrow. But no, it's all about the energy. The combination of this show with the student fan base wherever we are is unmatchable.
Thank you.
And they should be fired up for it.
Let's
Check
go.
it out for sure.
Vamos, vols.
No one really knew what to expect of this Tennessee offense. Do you feel like you've been impressed with them through 2 games so far?
Absolutely. It's pretty interesting how the fan base has started comparing numbers to the former quarterback. I would say just slow down a little bit, enjoy what you've seen so far. But it's, there's a lot of change. I looked at more at the offensive line and in the changes that they had with the guys that they lost and the time that they had in the program. That was the biggest deal to me, because a quarterback's not going to do anything if you can't protect him. And they've done a really good job of guys stepping up. And that's why I see the success that they've had. So with all the changes, that's been the most impressive thing with the offensive line.
Speaking of the offense, what has just impressed you most about Joey and his journey?
The way he's adapted. Everybody can see the writing on the wall when he came from the place he was at previously. But to come in and get acclimated, I think tells a lot about him. But the experience that he got, I think he learned a lot about himself, and you could see that with the confidence he's played with. You're going to have a successful program, and him to step in it and be seamless has been the most impressive thing to me.
Steve, how different will it be when he plays an SEC defense like Georgia from what you've seen already in his career?
Well, they say that's why we play the games, right? No, I think the energy, going back and watching last year, I thought Tennessee did an unbelievable job of matching the physicality in the first half. And then the second half, they didn't have that in that game, and Georgia pulled away in the second half. So I think the guys that played in that game know what they're up against. But that's why, you get a bump with the home crowd, with as great as Nealon is. That's why I feel like a lot of people are saying this is our best shot since Coach Heupel's been here against Georgia. Not saying that Georgia has played the best competition, because you could pick apart, actually what the teams, that Tennessee played so far. So I just look at people being confident. I do see that as this being their best shot so far.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead.
What's the one thing that you're looking at for this Tennessee team that could break the streak against Georgia? If there's one thing you could pinpoint that's going to bring them out victorious.
Tennessee's offensive line. They got to match the physicality. They haven't. I think Georgia's the way they run to the football, the speed, the togetherness that they play with is something. It's not Tennessee's fault, but that's why you prep. That's why you practice. And I think the idea of some guys seeing that last year on the road gives them confidence coming in. So that's the matchup. I think it's a low-scoring game.
The new SEC schedule will have 3 set rival teams. Just what 3 teams do you want to see Tennessee having?
Oh, well, obviously Alabama. Feels like the fan base is torn on the Vandy, Kentucky thing, right? So I would say those 3. Can we get those? Who am I missing? Like Florida or Georgia?
I feel like Florida or Georgia's got to be in there.
Yeah. Let's go Bama, Georgia, Vandy. All right.
Steve, we've seen 11 SEC teams in the top 25 right now. What's realistic for how many teams from the SEC can make the college football playoff field, do you think?
For sure 4. I think 4.
Any early favorites in your mind?
No, because I think the SEC schedule is so loaded. Everybody has their things they're pointing to on the schedule. I love that we get this game 3 weeks in. You find out a lot about yourself. That's the biggest thing. When this game's done, whatever the outcome is, I think coaches are so good now at self-scouting themselves. And what did you do in those multiple times you faced adversity? That's what you find out. With so much roster change and the lack of practice time and live hitting and all that, these are even, magnified the situations you come in. So I would say 4. I would feel good about 4.
Steve, you got 2 quarterbacks, Gunnar Stockton and Joey Aguilar, who are, in terms of SEC play, still pretty unexperienced. Who do you think's got more to prove in this game?
Ooh, that's a good one. Well, obviously Joey's got a ton that in this spot in front of this fan base, like that's a huge moment. For Gunnar, if first true road star. I mean, obviously it was awesome in the comeback against Texas in the SEC title game. I didn't think he was the reason they lost in the playoffs. But now that Georgia, gets 2 road games, I would lean on Georgia with Gunnar, just knowing what they've looked like. Now, I believe they've kept it super, super vanilla, knowing, they still haven't matched, I think, their best offensive line when it comes to personnel. And that's another question for tomorrow to what they'll look like. So I would lean Gunnar.
John Henderson's being recognized on Saturday. What do you remember about John Henderson's career at Tennessee?
A man's man. Just a legend. What he brought to the table. And when you think about the big man like that, you think of great Tennessee defensive players. And he was one of one. It's really cool to see that moment tomorrow. Is that pregame or halftime?
I assume during the game.
I'm not sure about that.
Intermission.
During the game? Oh, awesome. Oh, that'll be an eruption for sure.
Obviously, there's a lot of attention on Tennessee's offensive quarterback, but how do you think their defense matches up?
That's a big question. I mean, it's not their fault who they've played and what those teams have looked like, but I think obviously the back end with the corners out is a big deal. Now, can Georgia take advantage of it? That's another storyline in this. When you watch Georgia, they've really not been dialed in protection-wise, and that's forced Gunnar to tuck it and run it. So I think open field in a game like this, open field tackling is huge. Tennessee's been great at that, and guys have stepped up in that opportunity. They had an elite pass rusher last year, but the way they played so many guys in the defensive line, I think has set them up for success this year. So match of physicality, tackle in space, and play together, and rely on that fan base on third downs. That's going to be a huge boost for them. So I look forward to that matchup for sure.
How much do you factor in the philosophy of Josh being a former quarterback and Kirby being a safety in terms of how they've treated these first 2 games, with Tennessee putting as many points on the board as they can, and like you said, Georgia probably not showing much?
Yeah, I think you have an offensive guy in Josh that wants to show, hey, this is what we got, this is what we're made of, and you've seen that in 2 games. I mean, the foot's been on the gas. It's always on the gas with the vols offense, and it's a makeup of him. And on the other side, Kirby talking about aggression and everything. That team embodies that. You see, it's the mantra of the team that reflects the head coach. So it's really cool in a matchup like this to see offense versus defense and that mindset and what prevails. That's the best thing about this game.
What do you like about Knoxville?
Oh, the colors. Really cool. Feels like you get a lot of the checkerboard that you don't see anywhere else in the country. I just the passion. I think it's so good. I remember last time I was here, which is a while ago. It was Florida, Tennessee. Will Muschamp was the coach of Florida, and Derek Dooley was the coach of Tennessee. So it's been a while, and then to see all the redos of structures and campus in the downtown is just awesome. And then I remember walking into that Pat Summit arena, that thing, it's monstrous. And I think it says a lot about your fan base to be able to know that you could pack that thing. So I just think the buy-in that you have, the school spirit, I mean, up there with any student section, the buy-in and the passion is just awesome. You feel it as soon as you land.
People talk about kneeling loud. Why do you think it's so difficult for teams to play here at Tennessee?
It's over 100,000 people, right?
Yeah.
And the buy-in and the passion. I think there's just an electricity that comes with it, and it's up there. I can't wait to hear it tomorrow. It's been a while, and I know they're going to bring it, and we know what's at stake with how this series has gone. So bring your best.
You mentioned
for the
depth in the SEC, and I know this is only game 3, and teams can lose 2 games or get in, or possibly 3, but just how pivotal is this in terms of these teams' playoff hopes?
Yeah, I think when you look at it, we had a 3-loss team make the playoff last year. Now Clemson, had some fortunate things go their way, but they did still capitalize and win the ACC title. That was their only way in, and they did it. I still believe we're going to have multiple 3-loss teams in this. So it's more about, you're going to get nicked up. but how do you respond to that? Everybody's going to talk about the road games they have, but like you have this game at home in a rivalry game that's been one-sided the last 8 times. You got to feel, if you get this, you got to feel great, but you got to keep your mind ahead. It's awesome with what comes in winning a game like this, but staying on that track and knowing how people can start reading their own clippings, that's where it gets dangerous, and that's what keeps coaches up at night. So it's not the end of the world. That's what I think we also found out in the playoff. You could get nicked up. I mean, Ohio State lost the worst possible game last year to be their second loss. And you see how that responded. And I think it says a lot about the resiliency of the college kids and the coaching staff. So, right there, Notre Dame lost last year in week 2. Everyone wrote them off. They run the table. They play in a national championship game. So if we learned anything from last year, don't get down on yourselves and stay positive.
How do the massive levels of fan and student engagement that College Game Day gets kind of enhance or change your environment as an analyst?
It could be distracting if you let it, for sure. I can't wait to see this tomorrow, knowing how long it's been for me alone. Not to sound selfish, but no, you'll see when the guys come out to the desk and the music's pumping and you just see everybody jumping and dancing. It's what gets me going every week, and it's hard. It's good that we have double earplugs to help with the communication with the truck, because as loud as it could be, yeah, that's distracting. Kind of like a visiting quarterback going into a road show, but hopefully everybody's rooting for us to have a great show. So that's what's it's super fun. But again, the energy provided by the fans here is what makes it go, and we feed off of that like no other.